so I really wasn't expecting all these answers.
Well, I actually lived in China when it started.
We had gone to like someone's birthday party, and then we all said, "See you Monday," and that Monday never came.
Exactly. Like, we had no idea it was going to be this bad.
The death of my grandfather.
Some of my friends were like out partying, but I couldn't even go to a park, you know?
People didn't respect the quarantine.
So I had to isolate on my room for 2 weeks.
Hospitals are full, there are no beds available, there are no oxygen cylinders available.
Like, that was the first time that I've had to deal with someone I love dying.
10 teens from all around the world: Brazil, Mexico, US, Canada, England, all the way to Tanzania in Africa and India. You already know what's COVID, but I'm sure your experience with it isn't like from others around the world or even in your own country. That's why I decided to talk with my friends about their experiences with COVID-19. Hey, how are y'all doing? Thanks for accepting the invitation. I think it's gonna be a super cool interview and I'm really excited. Firstly, I would like to know, how did COVID start in your country and what was your reaction to it?
I remember it started around March break for us.
In China when it started.
And it was really fast and it spread very fast.
So I found out first about COVID because we were watching the news, and that kept popping up, that story about how there was this virus going on in China and how it was spreading and populating so quickly.
I think a lot of people were just talking about it like it was other countries' problems and it wouldn't really affect us.
Our government told us we would have a 2-week lockdown.
We were just doing normal school and then we just had to go away for it was supposed to be for 2 weeks only.
So I remember exactly when I was at school and my teacher said that we are going to be absent for about 2 weeks.
But then, of course, it ended up being way longer. But that's mainly how it just mostly started.
However, it was really a shocking thing because it was something brand new. We didn't really have a lot of information about it and we didn't really know what to do.
Confusing moment to me, a lot of emotions in my mind.
But I actually didn't think it was gonna be a big deal.
Exactly. Like, we had no idea it was going to be this bad. But it was still quite, scary, I guess. Because there hadn't really been much like it before, right?
Yeah, it was crazy. I didn't think that it would really affect us.
Right before school shut down, we had gone to someone's birthday party, and then we all said, "See you Monday," and that Monday never came.
Yeah, that Monday never came. It was totally unexpected and shocking to all of us. I wanted to know, how did you deal with this crazy situation during the first month of lockdown?
And I stayed with my family, my mom, my dad, and my sister.
And that was the first time that my whole family was together in a few months because my dad was out of the US when we were still there. Just me and my two parents. So we started, trying to pick up new hobbies and stuff. We took a lot of walks, but it just felt like a fever dream, I guess.
I think the first month of lockdown was probably the easiest, at least for me. It was kind of nice to have that extra little vacation for a little bit.
Doing YouTube and around the quarantine was when I started my podcast, so that's one of the main reasons I kind of dealt with it.
We still socially distanced, sort of, and we had to wear masks, but it wasn't too serious.
It's pretty fun, and we were fine, but then as time went on, it was kind of hard to be motivated to do stuff.
And so my mental health wasn't the greatest, I guess, in the first month because I didn't have a routine. I was just kind of waking up and then not having a point or a purpose of that day and then just going back to sleep and repeating it all again.
Altitude or the situation mentally was worse last year in the first month because we had no idea what was happening and we only knew that people are dying.
Felt kind of messy We would sleep at 3 a.m. and we would wake up really late, like at 1 p.m. or something.
Yeah, I think to most of us the first month was the easiest because we kind of had hope that it would end soon. But as time passed by, the situation, especially mentally, got a lot harder. So from what point were you able to get out more, and how did you and your family position to it?
Well, after I think 8 months, things started to be a bit better in a way, right? And I remember going to the park with my friends to skateboard.
So the first time I went back to school in 2020 was, I think it was May. Because again, like I said, in China where I lived, there were very, very few cases. So everything really went back to normal.
So the first lockdown was lifted, so it ended around June. So schools were reopened and everything was not back to normal, but everything reopened.
It kind of ended like right after school would have usually ended. That's when the lockdown ended. So we were able to do a lot of normal stuff other than just like eating in restaurants. I remember that made me a little annoyed, but I don't think I knew how good I had it then.
But yeah, like for me it was just normal, but just like without going to like friend's house.
I got to meet with my friends just like in parking lots, probably like a month after we got school called off, but mostly it was just FaceTime. And just trying to figure out new ways of like connecting.
And I don't think I got out of my house till like September.
We were lucky to have moved prior to this quarantine and to live close to the beach because that was the only thing open. It was almost like every day we had our little mental health break where we could go and see the ocean and kind of like cleanse our thoughts.
It's super interesting to see the different experiences through the pandemic. And I know schools is a super important aspect, especially for us teens. How could you describe your learning in the last year?
Well, I know at first my old school, they did not do a very good job with virtual learning, so I know most of the kids there didn't do the work, but I did.
I was very distracted a lot. I would watch Sidemen hide and seek videos because I was so bored in class until I got in trouble for it. And I got like grounded for a month.
In this online classes is really difficult moment to me.
So it was this thing that just happened and we had no preparation. And so it was difficult to first deal with it because we didn't really know what we were doing. No one knew what they were doing. All the things that we had planned for the rest of the year all got erased.
I think personally, I found it very hard to concentrate and stay motivated on school. Because like you're sitting at your desk, you're looking at the screen the whole day, and like while you're looking at the desk, you got your phone right here. So I'm never actually looking at the lessons.
None of the teachers really had it organized, at least in my school, in my situation.
My learning the past year wasn't really that great, especially because throughout a good 3 to 4 months, schools were not really adjusted and didn't know how to teach us through online lessons.
But then after summer, I continued doing online school. And so after that, it was like very organized. We had like Zoom meetings, it was like proper school.
And then for this school year, which for me started in September, I actually was able to go to school because I live here in Tanzania now, where they don't actually believe COVID is real.
So then when we came back, it was easier to follow along because we were being guided by people who understood what was happening now. But I see my friends that go to public schools and most of them are failing because they don't understand what to do and they can't even ask the teachers.
But I'm still online right now and I think they've gotten a bit better with it. All my classes are like live lecture, so that helps a lot. But I'm excited to be back in person. I feel like you get a lot more out of it in person.
Yeah, it was super hard to adapt to online education, like you guys shared. But really all we could do is adapt and do our best every single day, even if we didn't reach that point at the moment, maybe because of lack of motivation, for example. And to someone that has no idea how was COVID in our country, I would like to know how it was overall.
Yeah, it's actually been kind of stressful because we don't know exactly how many cases there are because they're not counting.
In the start of the COVID pandemic, the government applied some rules, but not rigid rules.
It was pretty okay at the start, I think.
I think at first it was kind of like a story that wasn't applying to us.
But then in January, everybody, at least that I know, traveled to South Africa for the holidays, came back and brought it back with them. And then it was a big outburst and we haven't been going to school for 2 months.
But it definitely came back stronger recently.
Like recently, that's when everyone started having people close to them getting it and close to them dying.
During the year we have a lot of cases, and in the start of the 2021 we have the records.
And yeah, it's just funny because like the moment it starts getting okay, everyone just goes out and then it goes back to really bad.
So then we had wave 4, where we had another lockdown of 3 months, but everything was fully closed and we were basically not allowed to leave our houses.
Right now, the situation is very bad. Hospitals are full. There are no beds available. There are no oxygen cylinders available. Not much of plasma donors. So it is pretty much bad situation right now.
You know that Brazil was the epicenter of it, and the situation was bad.
And I don't know how long we are going in lockdown and how long will this last, because the cases are spiking up and I don't know how many people will lose their life right now.
You turn on different news stations and like each different news station is telling a different story.
And obviously the news channels and social media was not really helping in that case. Instead of just they were scaring it like people are dying, which was kind of true. But the downside was that people like us who suffer from anxiety and health anxiety,
Really hard, especially seeing like some of my friends were like out partying, but I couldn't even go to a park, you know?
People didn't respect the quarantine. People didn't use masks.
Wow, different situations, different countries, and sad realities. I wanted to know about you guys. How COVID changed you compared to the start of the pandemic till now?
I think I don't take things for granted as much. And because there are a lot of activities that I love to do that I can't do anymore. So I have had to kind of shift my interests a little bit.
I learned to pay attention more in the teacher, and online classes is a really great exercise to me.
I think I'm a lot better at online learning. It's easier for me to pay attention now.
I've obviously spent a lot more time making YouTube videos, which was very good. I had my best year on YouTube, which was the second half of the year, which was like when COVID started.
So I had to learn to like get that motivation just like from myself.
But it didn't really have an effect on my habits, especially school taking up most of my time and then having to do homework when I get home.
I wouldn't say my personality completely changed much, because I'm still talking to the same people and doing kind of the same things, but I'd definitely say it changed some of my habits, especially around like working. It kind of made me, I'd say, a bit more independent, like able to focus and do things by myself.
So it's been good to find out that I really like being alone. Like I have found a joy in solitude and I enjoy being by myself.
I just got more comfortable with my own company rather than just relying on other people. And I started to concentrate on my skill set rather than just going out and just chilling with my friends and wasting my time. I think I have become more self-centered when it comes to productivity.
I'd rather not have fake friendships where it's like I'm not completely trusting the person, or if I don't think that we add anything to each other's lives. That's something that I've learned this quarantine.
Okay, well, to be honest, I was a bit immature when COVID started, and since it, I think I could mature a bit more and start doing more things by myself.
Yeah, COVID was bad, really bad, but there's also some lessons and positive aspects that we could get out of it. And now, kind of the opposite. What was the lowest point for you during this whole pandemic?
Was the start of this year when I will start again the online classes.
Was when I got the virus, but my parents didn't. So I had to isolate on my room for 2 weeks, and I wasn't really allowed to. I was allowed to see them, but I wasn't allowed to have interaction or anything.
But I think my aunt and uncle got sick at one point, so I think that was probably one of the lower points for me. Just seeing that it actually does have an impact on people, and it's like scary, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't know what's going to happen when they do get sick.
My lowest point was this last winter because that's when people close to me that I knew started dying.
And it was really hard because, I miss them because being by yourself, it's really annoying because you can't really do anything, especially when you're stuck in just one room.
That was kind of like my first slap in the face with death. Like that was the first time that I've had to deal with someone I love dying. I think that death is a thing that you can take upon so many different perspectives on what death means, but I think the overall consensus in order to move on is just accepting.
The lowest point was definitely my anxiety taking over me, and that took a big toll on me because if I had a cough, I would just quarantine myself and just think about how I'm going to get hospitalized and suffer from COVID.
And even if all you have is just the memories with the person, that's still something that you can look at and smile and be grateful for, instead of just spending your time reminiscing and in like a sorrow type of energy.
It was probably like early summer when it was the summer after my senior year and I was supposed to be, hanging out with friends and going on trips before everybody went off to college, but we couldn't really do anything.
Yeah, definitely winter for sure. 'Cause you couldn't see your friends or like get any like outside time basically, maybe just some walks and stuff. So yeah, it was pretty rough.
It was on August of last year, and I was a bit anxious and nervous about everything, and the cases were going higher. And I remember exactly a day that I woke up feeling really, really, really bad. I don't know how to explain. And I really thought that I was with COVID.
Some pretty tough moments though, but we're still here, so the less we could do is just keep going, right? Next question. I wanted to know, what was the most valuable lesson that the pandemic gave you?
To think more about other situations, like my grandfather is really different to these people and difficult to these people that really need to stay safe.
Is that we need to respect people in the same way we want to be respected. Even if we think we don't have the COVID, we can pass it to other people, right? And if we don't use masks and care ourselves, we are not respecting other people, right?
It's okay to get bored because I got bored a lot, and thanks to me getting bored, I found a lot more skills of mine.
How important it is to like have friends and like socialize and stuff and like get outside, do sports and stuff. Like maintain your mental health basically. Like how important it is to do that.
Yeah, like I said before, just to not take things for granted. Like your plans always change, they never go according to plan because nobody saw this coming. And yeah, there are a lot of things I wish I had done more pre-pandemic. I think just to kind of plan for what you can, but know that you can't plan everything, I guess. You're better at adapting than you think you are.
one day everything could be normal, the other day everything could change, and you should really go outside, do exercises and everything, and spend time as much time as you can with everyone you love.
Probably to not take being able to see my friends every day for granted, because you know, like back last year in the summer, or 2 years ago, sorry, we'd be like going out every day thinking that it's like, oh, this will just happen forever, right? But the pandemic's taught me that I gotta be kind of thankful that I get to see these people whenever I do, right?
I think being adaptable, actually. I think the most important thing that we've all had to learn together is just being adaptable, because like the same thing with death, you know, it's inevitable. Change is something that no matter what, it's gonna happen. That's something that no matter what, change is always gonna happen.
Don't take your health for granted, first of all. Always be happy with what you have, because you never know, things might get worse, and what you have now might not be with you tomorrow.
The only thing we can really control is our thoughts and our feelings. And if we rely on something of an outside source to determine how we feel or think, then we have no power over ourselves.
Wow, that's such incredible lessons, right? Thanks for sharing, you all. And to almost end here, tell the craziest thing that happened to you because of COVID.
Overall, it's probably just been the whole experience. It's like very new and stuff in online school.
So moving during the pandemic was pretty crazy. Masks, gloves, sanitize everything. Like we had the face shield. That was really weird.
The death of my grandfather, and it was of COVID, and it was really a sad moment to me and my family.
Being able to interact with so many people I look up to, too many YouTubers especially.
It's a bit weird, right? Because, you know, university is like a whole new place, right? You get excited because you're going to go and meet a whole bunch of new people, right? And of course, I did meet some new people, but right, I don't want to be like outside all the time.
And they probably would not have came to my podcast if it was for the pandemic. Because the pandemic didn't exist, they would probably have a bunch of other activities. So probably because they were like in their house doing nothing, they had nothing better to do than go on a random kids podcast.
I mean, the craziest thing right now happening to me is my parents are not well. I think that's COVID. That's the craziest thing. And we didn't even go out, actually. My mother didn't even go out. My family didn't even go out. I don't know how we got it. But I mean, we haven't get tested yet, because I told you we were supposed to get tested today, but the guy who supposed to come got positive. So we are due for day after tomorrow.
The whole wearing masks and not wearing masks is kind of like an argument between people. So there has been multiple times where strangers either come up to me to like congratulate me for wearing a mask, or when I'm not wearing a mask, congratulate for not wearing a mask. So it's like different types of people coming up to me in different situations and being like, I just want to say I'm really proud of you, blah, blah. And I'm like, who are you? I don't even know you.
The thing which I was really scared of till last year is happening to me and my family right now. But I don't know how to deal with that. Plus, my mother is diabetic, so I'm definitely more concerned about her.
Actually, I have a pretty crazy one because, so in December, my brother went to Mauritania. It's a country in Africa. He actually got stuck there because they closed all the borders. It was really crazy. And he was the only American in Mauritania, so they weren't like gonna send a plane in just for him. And they also couldn't do anything about getting him across the borders.
Some pretty crazy experiences. This has been great, but here it is, the last question. If you could say something to your future self, family, whatever, about the pandemic, what would that be?
Do more things. Hang out with more people. Just do more, I guess.
We are strong, and we pass this moment with force, and we are united.
Let's say I'm watching this April 5th, 2031. Like, has there been anything similar to COVID, or like has climate change actually affected the world, and how?
Value everything you have, your family and friends. Anything can happen, and you have to live your life to the fullest. Live for every single second, have as much fun as you can, and enjoy every moment of it.
Yeah, I'd probably a lot like the lesson I learned. I'd probably just say not to take being able to go out and see your friends for granted, because you never know when something like this might happen, right?
I don't know. I'll just say don't stress about it much, because this is just a bad phase that shall pass as well.
Keep like check of your mental health and stuff. Like make sure you're going outside, working out, staying active, staying social.
A lot of people died and we needed to stay at home, but we got over.
Even when you have nothing and you have nobody, that can open the door to everything.
And that's it. Thanks for participating and giving me and everyone that is watching the opportunity to get a bit of your experience with COVID. And for you guys, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe and comment a bit of your experience with COVID-19. I would love to hear. And see you next Sunday with a unique video.